Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I haven't done one of these in a while because there really hasn't been a movie that I've been like, oh, I should do a little review for. But tonight we are seeing Uncharted. So, what am I thinking about this movie? There's not much that I'm thinking about this movie, to be honest with you. And part of me is like, why am I seeing it again? Well, I mean, I like the franchise. It's a good video game franchise for the most part. And I thought it might be interesting at least to see it and see where everything goes. And I was a little excited when they were talking about things. Now, I know everybody's like, oh, Mark Wahlberg should have been Nathan Drake, but Mark Wahlberg aged himself out of the role. Why did he age himself out of the role? Because they took forever to get this fucking thing made. And that worries me. Though Tom Holland, I can see it. This would have been, I think, one of those movies where it might have been better to be an animated movie and then get the fucking voice cast of the game to do the goddamn movie, even if it's a little bit different. It would at least been interesting, and at least you could have been like, oh, hey, this is actually, a Uncharted movie. It's like the game, very similar. But, I mean, I've heard bad things, and if they fuck it up, the reason they fuck it up is because they didn't go the route of the game, where this is one of those ones that almost seems like it's a fucking slam dunk. Like, the game at the time, I remember when it came out, I was like, and I think it came out about the time, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I was like, Uncharted out Indiana Jones to Indiana Jones. Like, that's all you really have to do. Just, like, create a cool adventure. Or, I guess maybe sometimes video game script writers don't really write for movies, and they don't really know how to, and maybe that's the issue because you got to write in a specific way. I don't know, but I really feel like this is one of those ones where you could have gotten the writer of the games themselves to actually write the script, maybe work with somebody and really, really, really get in there. So I think I'm judging it a little harshly just to start, but that's kind of where my expectations are. So if it comes out and I really enjoy it, then I enjoyed it. If it comes out that it was, trash, then maybe I don't feel like I wasted my money so much because I knew what I was getting into. So we'll find out what other people are thinking as we get into the film. But yeah, so we'll see you afterwards.
Yo.
All right, Ben.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Let's see. I'm excited for this. Love the series. Great games. I'm still not excited about Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake. Not to against Tom Holland. I love Tom Holland, but just not Nathan Drake, I would imagine. But let's give it a chance to see what happens.
All right. Joey?
Tom Holland.
Oh, good Lord. Hey, everybody. So I'm back, and I'm downstairs recording just because I want to get stuff off my chest and thoughts and everything like that on the Uncharted movie. You can say hello to Raina. She's hanging out there. I also look at my cool new shirt that I got. But yeah, I want to talk about Uncharted and my thoughts on the film. So there's a couple of things that are bad, and then there's a lot of stuff I think that's very entertaining. Now, I know this is my opinion. This is not, you're going to see a lot of people with different opinions, and that's totally fine. I totally agree with it, and I can understand why people don't like this movie, but maybe it's because of the expectation maybe I had going in, and that I was a little more surprised than I thought I would be. So in general, I like the movie. I don't think it's a cinematic masterpiece or it's the best movie any of these actors have ever done. But it's still, I think it's fun. It's dumb fun, right? And I think there's some really interesting things. There's some things that got wrong, and there's a couple of things that, were very surprising to me. So I want to go through the bads. There's going to be, maybe there might be a little bit of spoilers. There's definitely one thing I want to talk about that I was really giddy about that was nice. And it's, I don't know, I think it was kind of expected, but it was cool to see at the same time. So let's just talk about the bad, then I want to get into the stuff I liked. So casting wise, it's not the best that was that could have been out there. Um, I just don't think Mark Wahlberg really went into it and trying to. I don't say that you have to replicate Sully. Oh, I want to say Scully, but I think that you could have done a little more with it and the way that it worked for most of the movies. I mean, the problem that I have is how they meet. That's the biggest problem. It's just like, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm doing this. Okay, you want to come help me with these things? Okay, I'll come help you. And then boom, they're working together. Because it really is an origin story, right? It's an origin for the franchise to give you an idea what's going on here, what's happening with the movie, all that fun stuff. But in general, that stuff is not very good. And honestly, it starts off with a pretty good action sequences, replicating the big scene from Uncharted 3 where you're in the plane and all the things are falling and you got to jump from thing to thing, the cargo things, and then you end up in the desert. Here they end up somewhere else. And there is one kind of silly part when they come back to it. It's one of those things where they start off in the middle of the movie or really kind of in the beginning of the third chapter, and then you go back. And then they go way back first, and we get to meet Sam. If you don't know, it's his brother. If you don't know a lot about the franchise, some things might be lost on you, but they do a decent job enough trying to create this as something different than what was expected with the first film and kind of what was going on. Not first film, the first game. Like, the way that I take it is that it's definitely something that if you don't know what anything is, then you might enjoy it. You might think that it's a good time. In terms of a game thing, it's kind of like it's a prequel story. But the problem is that we had that in Uncharted 3. We have how Sully and Nathan Drake actually meet, and it's much better. But they kind of like blend that into Sam, like him and Sam in the beginning of the movie. And I was just kind of like, I don't like that. Like, I really wish they had done the other way of him meeting Sully. Like, kind of instead, because he was just a kid on the streets. He didn't have his parents anymore, didn't have his brother anymore. And, he was trying to steal something from this museum. He was trying to steal a map for the whole thing, what Uncharted 3 is. And then for this, it's just like, that's how he meets Sully. Sully's trying to do the same thing, right? And then they form a friendship, and then he's known the kid since he was a kid. He's grew up with him. And then the problem with Tom Holland, it's not him in general, because I don't think it's that bad, right? But if you're trying to put him as Nathan Drake, it's a little rough because, like a lot of people are going to say, he has that baby face, and he just looks way too young for the role. Like, Nathan Drake is supposed to be in his late 30s, maybe even early 40s, probably in his 30s, and here it looks like he's in his 20s, right? He just looks way too young for the role. And he's supposed to be playing a guy that's much, much older than it is. And even Mark Wahlberg, while, there is a little spoiler thing at the end, then he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't really try. Some of the puzzle aspects are kind of wonky, like how they discover things. I wish they had done more. And then the main thing I think that's missing from it is the supernatural shit. Every single Uncharted game, maybe except for Thief's End, because I've only played that once, but they all have some type of supernatural thing that they're going after. Like I said before, like when I played the first Uncharted, it really out Indiana Jones. I love that game so much. I love the series. And it was something that when I first saw the trailers for that game, I was like, oh, this looks terrible. But then at the time, all I had was a PS3. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? The more I look into it and how good reviews it's getting, I'm going to give it a try. Became one of my favorite franchises out of the whole game. The other thing is there's a bunch of weird gaffes. I found a bunch of weird mistakes that kind of happened with it. Like there's a scene where they have to turn keys and they have to turn them back. And when they turn them back, he turns his all the way the right way. But then Chloe, she turns hers only halfway. And that was what was kept in the movie. Then there's a couple of things, even with Sully's got to do something and everybody's turning the keys a specific way. And then he turns it the opposite way and he's perfectly fine. So it's it's little things like that that are just kind of there, and really it's about the relationship. Towards the end of the movie, the relationship between Sully and Drake got better and definitely felt more like the games. And I get it. It's an intro. They don't trust each other. They don't really know each other. So, that's just the way that it's going to go. Nothing else you can really do about it, right? So but they build that towards the end of the movie, and there's a couple of stupid jokes that happen in there. There's one involving a cat that I was just kind of like, I don't know if I really need to have this in the movie. But overall, like, I don't think that it deters from what the movie really becomes. And the other thing is that I think that you could take this movie and it could just be any fucking franchise. It could be another Indiana Jones movie. It could just be an action adventure movie. It could be, if you want to go back, it could be a Nicolas Cage movie. It could just be one of those movies, just an adventure movie. That's all maybe it needed to be. It didn't need to be an Uncharted movie because you took some of the Uncharted stuff out. Now, there are two sequences towards the end of the movie that are at the one that happens like right after they show the Uncharted logo again, and then one happens mid-credits. And both of those set up maybe one of the other games and doing a story similar to those games, which means that hopefully we do get the supernatural stuff, which I think that this movie actually needed. Now, the good for the film is, and this is the one big spoiler that I'm going to try to say, or I'm going to say, I don't know what I'm talking about, but the one that I really enjoyed was the fact that Nolan North is in it and makes a cameo. It just made me fucking giddy. And I might even, I got to meet the guy, and maybe I'll splice that video in here or at the end. But the other podcast that I do called It Be Like That, we went to the San Francisco Comic-Con at the Oakland Marriott. And he was there. We waited a long time. Pat, who was in earlier in the video, he was with me. His back was just killing him that day. He couldn't stand because he was late. And so I just stayed in line. And then right when he left, all of a sudden he shows up. And so I got to, meet him. We were going to meet him together. And I got to talk with him for a little bit. And it was pretty cool. He's a really nice guy. And he's a really goofy guy. And I love it. And he was a little goofy here. And I love the little line that he gives to Nathan Drake in this movie, because he is the voice of Nathan Drake. And I thought that was neat. The other thing, the set pieces. I think some of the set pieces are really fucking cool. I know they're a little hokey to some, but I just thought they were neat. I liked the fighting scenes that they did. And what I really liked, and I will commend Tom Holland for this, is that he really studied the character and he knows the character. Not enough to be like an excellent voice of the character, to mimic certain things, but his actions really do. The way that he fights really mimics Nathan Drake in the games. And the way that he climbs on stuff and other little things. I mean, there's a little bit of hardcore parkour going on at some points in the movie. It's just that, the mannerisms and the way that he does stuff, that's great. When he finally gets his holders, I was a little too giddy about that. And actually they show him looking up after he's got like his perfect white shirt all messed up. And then he really does, except for the face, looks like Nathan Drake from the neck down. That was cool. I thought that was really neat. And it was kind of like, oh, that's how he got them. But they're, again, because if you've played the games, you kind of know how things happened in the whole thing. The big one at the end is fun, but it's not as good as some of the other ones that happen. I like the one that's in the museum. I think that one's pretty cool, where he's hanging from the lights. You've seen it in the trailer. The one that there's something that happens in like a club, an underground club, I thought was the way they did it, and the little fight scene that happens in there is pretty cool. It's well thought of. It's very fast paced and well done. And there's a couple of other little silly things. There's a fight in a fucking Papa John's, which was fucking stupid. There's so many random little things in there. There's a Naughty Dog logo towards the beginning of the film. And there's one other thing that I saw right when they're looking through at all the stickers and stuff. And I cannot remember what the fuck it is. And it bothering me because I was like, oh, it's that. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like they did a couple of little things that were like that. That were kind of callbacks to everything. But the Naughty Dog sticker was really fucking cool to see that, like, as a little Easter egg and a little thank you to, the company for Drake and everything like that. Story-wise, the story is okay. for what it is what it is. I mean, I wasn't expecting a fantastic story, but like I said, just missing the supernatural stuff. But I mean, overall, I think that I really enjoyed the film. Also, I love the actress that played Chloe because I feel like she actually captured the character the way the character should have been portrayed. And I liked the relationship that she had, as she grew it with Nathan. And they kind of set it up like in the games, it was always did they actually date and maybe sleep with each other or, whatever, were they a relationship at some point? Who knows if they actually were? And I mean, it was always kind of confusing to Ellie as well. I wish, I think that she'll show up in the next movie for what we get if we do get a sequel for this one. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to get a sequel for this. I don't think this is going to be a franchise that they're going to try to give up. And, hopefully everybody kind of nails down other pieces really well. Or this is just going to be like another Sully, right? We're just going to have a different version of him and we're going to have a different version of Drake. And we'll see what happens as the franchise, if it continues on as another set of movies. I'm pretty sure that this is going to make a pretty good amount of money over the weekend, especially for the pandemic, the pandemic type movie where people aren't really going to the theaters as much as they were. I think enough people like Tom Holland. The audience that I saw it with was really into it. Maybe that had a big influence on how I reacted to the movie. People were excited. People cheered at the end of the movie. That they liked it so much. And, maybe I just needed a dumb action movie after the way this week has gone for me personally. So, it's one of those things where I found myself pleasantly surprised. It could have had more to it. And I thought there was going to be a different twist with everything that went on. As much as I've seen people so far, because I looked at watched a couple of things after I saw the movie. I didn't want to watch it before because I felt it would leave a sour taste in my mouth. Especially there's, a couple reviewers that I really enjoy. I really enjoy their content for everything they do, from movies to video games to TV shows. It's stuff that I really enjoy, and I don't always agree with them, but they raise good points. And sometimes when they don't like something, it is extremely obvious, and it brings down, my expectations even lower. Or if I've seen it before I go and watch whatever it is, then it really just kind of makes me sour when, I see, oh, yeah, okay, I saw that. Oh, yeah, okay, I saw that. Oh, yeah, okay, I saw that. And it just, I end up not liking it as much. So I try to stay away from everybody's reviews before. Raina, she wants her scratches right now. And I said dumb fucking cat, and yeah, she probably got mad at me for saying that, thinking it was about her. But like I said, really like Chloe. Now, Antonio Banderas. Okay, so I will say this, and everybody's probably going to say this as well, but this is going through all 4 games. The villains in Uncharted are not very good. I think the best one was possibly 4. I would say 1, and then I would say 2, 3. I really liked, and I think because 4, it wasn't like a bad guy, I mean, it was, but at the same time, it kind of wasn't. It's just somebody that was trying to screw over Drake again, another treasure hunter. The second one is better than the first one. But again, I liked the first one. I liked the weird, change at the end of the game when you finally got to the treasure and then you realized why the treasure was just left alone. So there is something else that's there. And there was something like that in 2 as well. But the guy, he's just big and menacing in 2. And it's not, it's kind of the way that it is. I don't know. Maybe I still would say 1 over 2. Definitely, I did not care much for the third one. Though it's not, to me, the Uncharted games have never been about the villains. They're a constant threat, but it's about everything else that you get to experience on your way to it. It's the set pieces that you get. It's why the second one is the best out of all of them, because they just went overboard. If I rank the games, it's probably 2, 4, 1, 3. And it's not to say that 3 is a terrible game. It's just my least favorite out of a ton of good games. Those 4 games are some of the best that you will ever play. If you've never played them before, you have access to a PlayStation, you deserve yourself to play those 4 games. And I might be actually picking up or doing the upgrade for Uncharted 4 to seeing what they can do with the PS5 by doing little upgrades, because Naughty Dog is an absolutely amazing studio that just has been just rocking it for years, from Crash Bandicoot to the Jak and Daxter games to the Uncharted games to the Last of Us games. It's just, I'm still waiting for Last of Us Kart Racer or Uncharted Kart Racer. So Naughty Dog, you better get on it. But in terms of the movie, I think that they can take what was wrong with this movie and they can move and do something better with a sequel if they go after a sequel, which, like I said, I'm pretty sure that they're going to do. I don't think that you take this, and I think this is going to do so much better than people expect it to, and then they're just going to greenlight a sequel, and they're going to make sure they get everybody back for the next one. And then we'll get the next one, and like I said, hopefully we get a little extra. So I do really enjoy this film. The pirate scene, the boats, not the pirate scene, but the boat scene was really fun. It is a great action set piece. There is, there's a little bit, I wish they hadn't had him in the beginning come and he's living in New York City. Like, again, I wish that he was traveling about already, trying to live in his brother's footsteps and trying to find his brother that way. Maybe that would have been better. And then he could have met Sully the way that he kind of meets him in the 3rd game when they explain it. So, if I'm going to rate this movie, I'd give it a solid 3 out of 5, sunken gold pirate ships. I just feel like it's going in the right track. It's definitely better. It misses a couple things of being a 4. It's very close to me. If I had to give it a half a point, I probably would give it that 3.5. But I think in general, it's just kind of a 3, and it's your mileage may vary. It's either going to be something that you really enjoy, or it's going to be something that you absolutely don't like. I feel like it's going to be that way, and it really comes down to whether or not you feel it gets the lore right, and that if it's an Uncharted story. And like I said, I kind of don't feel it is. I think that they could do some other things better, but in general, I think that it's a lot of fun. So that's going to be it, and we're going to say bye from here. Raina, do you want to say anything? You want to give anything? No, she doesn't want to say anything or give her opinions on the movie because she didn't see it. Don't forget. So when this has been released, that there is a new podcast that's available for you. It's the podcast on Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which, surprising this week, I've seen 2 movies that maybe weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. And then don't forget to check out the last one on From Dusk Till Dawn. And don't forget to go out there and check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Terrible Terrors. This week, Wednesday the 23rd. Actually, it's going to be Thursday the 24th. I'm sorry, I'm switching schedules around a little bit. But we're going to be watching a movie. I don't know what we're going to be watching this week, but come join the channel. Mondays, it's Horror Game Mondays, so we're going to try to finish up Dead Space on Monday. And might be on a little earlier just because, hey, it's a holiday for me for some reason. And and then I guess that's it for now. So thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to follow the socials. Everything will be down in the comments below. And I appreciate you for watching this video if you did. And make sure that you take care of yourselves and each other.